I'm actually going to go see a play this Friday called Not a True Story about Kim if she hadn't killed herself. I want to get this right because I want to do a shout out. The play is called Not a True Story. They invited me to come and have a little panel discussion after the play, and I'm just going to read it. So this is not a true story. It takes the story of 3 tragic heroines, Cho-Cho-san, Kim, and Miss Saigon, and takes you on this journey if they hadn't killed themselves. And it gives that female character agency and gives that strong point of view of, wait, why does she have to kill herself? Why does she have to kill herself, right? So I'm very excited about that. And we're going to have a little panel discussion about the complicated legacy of films in Miss Saigon. Because it is a very complicated legacy. I'm just going to be real with you all.
They're reeling you in.
What do you mean? It's a trap.
It's a trap because if Kim did not kill herself, you'd be. This is like the alternate universe where you play Kim right now. Again.
No!
Welcome to the Paco's Place podcast.
Visit abaeservices.com for fast medical transcription service. This podcast episode is brought to you by AB Music Creative.
And the podcast will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we have her in the studio, Miss Jennifer Paz.
Who's that?
That would be you.
Hello. Hi.
Finally.
What's up? High five. Thanks for the coffee. Cheers.
Cheers. Love it.
Having coffee at
Paco's Place.
What time is it?
It's
school night.
Yes. And you live more than 40 miles away.
I do. I came especially just for you. So
thank you for doing this. Like we had
my
Ted,
pleasure.
We had Ted Benito. So shout out to you, Ted.
Great, Ted. Shout out to you. Yes, I'm here to corroborate some of the stories you told, and maybe call you out on some of the. No, just kidding.
And then we had Jing or Emmanuel Munda.
Jing, you said Jing.
I said Jing.
And Melody Butui, who's now on Broadway in Here Lies Love. So shout out to you, Melody.
Yes.
I went to her opening night. It was amazing.
How was it?
Oh, it was fantastic.
How was it being in the audience?
How was it being?
Do you miss it?
It was electrifying. I mean, I'd seen Here Lies Love already at the Public, and I saw it when they did a concert of it, version of it, and I also saw it in Seattle. And all the times, have you seen the show?
I'm seeing it because Vina is there. Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh, right. She just got into the show like a couple nights ago, right?
Yeah, to replace Leah.
That's right. Yeah, so I saw it in Seattle, and I saw it on the dance floor. But this time around, I saw it in the gallery seating area. So I was like above the dance floor. It was amazing. Get ready for the experience.
You used to be on stage.
I used to be on stage.
Now you're watching it. When you watch it, do you watch it with the perspective of, with the eye of an audience, or with the technicality of someone who's done stage?
Oh gosh.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Like if I'm watching a concert, I cannot unsee what goes on backstage. But
all of the above. I mean, like I mentioned to you earlier, I've kind of taken a step back from performing in these last few years and been writing and producing more. So I come to these shows with just a completely more expansive point of view as a producer. Like,
there you go.
The technical things. As a book writer now too. I analyze like the lyrics. So yeah, I look at it from a broader perspective.
It's a blessing and a curse, no?
It is. So yeah, because of course, as an audience member, you want to be like taken on this journey. But but my brain is like, oh, okay, I wonder how much that was. Like I scrutinize those things, like that light, like, the budget of this particular musical was like huge. So, but it was fun to just get to support my friends, and I'd seen them like create these roles, and it was just so fantastic to see them grow.
And it's on Broadway.
So it's just a monumental, historical event.
Rejuvenate your smile with Dr. Lourdes Capelong's comprehensive range of dental solutions. Along with general dentistry, Dr. Capelong specializes in cosmetic dentistry, including teeth whitening, bonding, dental veneers, and surgical crowns. Whether it's urgent care or preventive treatment, she'll take care of you and your smile. To schedule an appointment, call the clinic at area code 323-257-7582. Or are you writing? What are you doing?
Oh, you mean like scripts? So yeah. So what am I writing? Oh my gosh, you got right into it. So I've written. Right now, I'm developing a musical with my husband, and we just had a reading of it over at East West Players.
Oh wait, so you're doing a reading, which means you're doing the rewrites. You're done with the rewrites.
Yeah. I mean, it's still in development. So. This particular musical that I just had a reading of, just shout out to East West Players for supporting the development of new works. We had a reading of it back in March, and it was made possible also by a NAMT grant, which stands for the National Alliance for Musical Theater. For those of you that don't know, NAMT is a wonderful nonprofit that gives early support to musicals in development.
Right.
So a lot of musicals that you've seen eventually that make it to Broadway have started with developmental support from NAMP. So
can you
it's
imagine?
huge.
Yeah, because can you imagine without those developmental support or grants? Like you have to do something in order to fund this yourself and all that stuff.
That's right. Yeah, it's really. I mean, up until that point, you're self-producing.
Right.
As a songwriter,
Yes.
you're just constantly like self-producing or funding your own things. So
With
to be able
with your fingers crossed.
with your fingers crossed, but to have been awarded this grant was like such a huge acknowledgement and validation for your art. So that was a huge. Encouragement for me. So
Why the shift? Why the shift from being a performer to being writer, producer? Why?
well, because of the lack of opportunities, basically for I wanted more representation, and after being a performer for something like, I've been in the business for about 30 plus years.
Since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Yeah, teenager.
Yeah.
And
Did I just reveal your age?
It's fine. It's
Okay.
fine. I'm proud to have just turned
How much of them?
the one. No.
Exactly. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
So why the shift? There you go. It's a lack of representation. You've been doing this for a while.
I've been doing it for a while, and honestly, like I it took a pandemic. During the pandemic, I actually wasn't really performing. At that time, I was just I was working at a salon of all places. I was a permanent makeup artist, and when the pandemic hit, it was such a beautiful gift of time, and it really made me just pivot and go, okay, now that we're not like busy getting in our cars and going to work and doing the thing that we're supposed to do to make a living, what is it that I really want to do? And I'd had these stories and scripts in my head.
What is it that I really
want to do?
My God. Isn't that a question you're supposed to ask yourself as a teenager?
I mean, sure. Yeah.
But now it's more meaty, right? When you're an adult and you ask that question, it's more serious.
Yeah. I think I've always loved being an artist, but there was a part of me that was a closeted writer for so long. And even me calling myself a writer was a huge step for me, because I didn't know if the stories that I could tell mattered. And I realized, wait, no, my point of view matters. So I just, I took myself seriously. And I was also, at the time, I was taking some screenwriting classes. So, but procrastination is like...
Yeah. The pandemic really pushed you to stop procrastinating.
So the pandemic, stopped me procrastinating, and I was able to finish 4 screenplays.
Wow.
And then during that time, I just started kind of flinging them out. So as a writer, just trying to get into the business, there's certain avenues you could go. You could either, you can go to school, which I didn't go to school for writing. I just worked as an actor for so many years.
Yeah.
So I just was researching. I'm like, okay, well, how do I just get my scripts out there? So I started just sending them out to different screenwriting competitions. And
did you win?
I ended up winning
Yes!
one, and I placed in several others. But I ended up winning the screenwriting competition.
What was your winning piece?
It was a pilot called Proud Marys.
And the story was about.
And this pilot is actually the one that I end up now am developing into the musical. So Proud Marys, out of about 870 submissions, was selected. The judge that picked my script is she's a writer and producer on the HBO show Succession. I don't know if you watch Succession.
I've heard of it.
So to get that, validation
yes.
from a writer from a show that I admired, I was like, and it was so interesting because I had gone through so many drafts of this particular script, and I had literally thrown it. I dragged it into the trash bin. I was like, okay, what am I doing? I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Imposter syndrome, and was just really heavy that month. And literally within a week after I had dragged that draft into the trash bin, I get this email notification saying, congratulations, you've won Outstanding Screenplays TV Pilot Competition 2021. Yeah. So
did you erase it from the trash bin, or did you click put back?
I took it out. So that was a really encouraging thing to have. So I got a cash prize, and then they set me up with some meetings with different executives, and I was able to have these pitch meetings. And then I just decided randomly with that script, what would it sound like if these characters sung? So I rated my husband's catalog.
Your husband is?
My husband is Anthony Fedoroff, and he's a songwriter. He was on a little show called American Idol, season 4.
With the original judges?
Yes, with the original judges. He likes to say that he was on that show before he could grow facial hair. Because he was a kid. He literally was. Anyway, so I decided to take some of the songs that were just kind of sitting there in his catalog, and some songs that we had written together. And I kind of put them with these different characters. And it was almost like Avatar. It was they just fit like a
boom,
glove.
And then it came to life. Yeah.
And then I had a reading of it with Philam Arts. So shout out to Philam Arts, Giselle Tonji, one of the producers of Here Lies Love.
Yes.
And Giovanni Ortega. They invited the reading of Proud Marys, and then from that, a couple of theaters reached out to me and said, what is this? And I'm like, oh, what do you want it to be? So I started getting interest in different theaters, and then that's when East West Players invited it for a reading, and we applied for a grant, and we got the grant, and we just had a developmental reading of it. So picking up from what you were saying, right? What do I really want to do? Then writing the script. How do I write a script? Where can I find ways to start writing a script? Now that it's done, how can I hear the voices of the characters? Now asking other people, what do you want it to be? I mean, these questions that you ask yourself and these questions that you have in your head. How did you train for this? Because other people are just stuck in their ways. Other people, when trials come to them or a change in circumstance, they just go, oh. But listening to you, I know you've kind of brought them in close, but the journey, so many questions, so many doubts, imposter syndrome, you mentioned it. What kept you going? Oh, well, I did a lot of research.
But what motivated you to do those research? And the reason why I want you to emphasize on this is because I always say you use the same amount of energy to come up with excuses and solutions. Same energy, different routes.
Absolutely.
Same energy.
Yeah.
And I want our community to go to listen to this because research. Doing permanent makeup, that's a lot of money. Sheila Bella does that.
That's who I worked for.
Sheila Ferrari.
Sheila Bella. Yes.
Good friend of me and Steve Guadis. Yeah,
Shout
Sheila.
out to Sheila. Yes.
Makes millions doing that.
Exactly. Yeah. No, she's a perfect example of somebody who unapologetically hired herself. There was not a position in the beauty industry that hired her. So she was like, you know what? I'm going to create my own business. I'm going to create my own work.
Yes.
And I was one of her employees for 4 years. I worked at Sheila Bella on her brick and mortar.
Very inspiring.
She's a classic example of that. And that's basically what I did with my art. Like, okay, there's no stories that represent Phil-Ams, women of color, women who have their own agency, and just Asian American stories from our authentic point of view.
Right.
You know, our stories as me, a daughter of an immigrant, what that looks like, you know. So I was like, okay, well, who are the careers that I admire? I look up to careers like Mindy Kaling, Tina Fey. I love funny women, Amy Poehler, Rachel Bloom. And I was like, okay, well, what did they do? And so and then I was like, okay, well, how do I write a screenplay? And I just researched, you know, different screenwriting classes in the Los Angeles area. And I came upon a podcast called On the Page with Pilar Alessandra. And then she had a book that I ended up just ordering on Amazon. And I read her book. And then I saw that she was... she taught classes, and so I signed up for her classes, and it was because of her mentorship that I was able to learn just the craft of screenwriting, because it is a craft. It's something that you learn, just like songwriting. There's a formula. There's a craft to good storytelling.
And this is going on while building a family.
Yes. So then I have that too. Yeah.
No excuses, right?
Yeah, and I find inspiration from that. So, I mean, in Proud Marys, basically the logline is about 3 daughters who shake up the strict traditions of the religious Filipino-American family when they all get knocked up out of wedlock at the same time.
God. By the way, to people who don't understand, the logline is the first thing that summarizes everything before the synopsis and all that stuff.
That's right. It's like your elevator pitch.
Yes.
It's like if you were like to run into a producer in an elevator.
That's it.
It's like, tell me what are you writing? It's like, I have this story, and okay, what is it? And if you can grab them in that one log line, then that's it.
And you know what's so unfair, because there are so many scripts. Executive producers and studios, they only look at the log line, and if the log line isn't interesting enough, next. Next. Right? But that's a good log line. I like that. So when you develop the script, how did you develop the characters?
My imagination.
Right.
I mean, I basically took different events that happened in my life, and I put them on these characters.
So the wedlock thing, that's you?
Yes.
By the way, politics and religion lang, Jay. Ang sinabi niyang hindi pwede pag-usapan. Right. So I'm asking all these questions.
You are. Wait a minute. Here, boundary and...
cheers.
No, but it's fiction. But I fictionalize things. So.
But the wedlock's you? Did you experience that?
I did. But it's loosely based on my experience of my fertility issues.
Okay.
And I tackle issues that women face with starting families, and just, about family planning and high risk pregnancies, career. I deal with pregnancy termination. That's all in there, and it's a comedy. So
really,
I like to.
You found humor
I did, yeah.
More like satire or really comic comedy?
I mean, the way I like to, the tonal comps are, it's like a Jane the Virgin meets
Okay.
a Filipino-American Fiddler on the Roof.
But you know, this is nice because doing it more in a comedy style
I love comedy,
and it removes the
yes.
awkwardness.
Yes, I think comedy is such a powerful way in.
Yeah.
You disarm people when you make them laugh. I love that.
And then you can tell the truth.
And then you tell the truth. It's like, or the drama. You know, you just disarm them with that drama, with that laughter, and you make more of an impact, I think, when people are disarmed with humor.
So the log line sounded nice. If you guys missed it, rewind the video. The log line sounded nice. It won a prize in a competition. What made you throw it away? What made you doubt yourself?
Oh gosh.
Honest answer.
Honest.
Yeah.
Honest answer.
Yeah.
I had thrown it in the trash because there were certain critiques from certain individuals.
I knew it.
That made me doubt myself and tried to sort of silence me.
This is not a premeditated question, right? This is
Not, and I'm being very honest with you right now. Yeah, it was.
Doesn't it happen in real life? Like these people.
I mean, it was basically meant to silence me.
Why did you give in?
Because I let fear dictate that, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I shouldn't tell the story. Sure, okay, yeah. And at that time too.
So good.
At that time, I had just gotten into a mentorship program. So one of the things also that I flung my different scripts at was mentorship programs, and I got into this mentorship program called Unlock Her Potential, and I was matched with a showrunner by the name of Brian Yorkie. Brian Yorkie was the creator of the Netflix series 13 Reasons Why. Have you ever watched that show?
I've seen that.
And he won the Pulitzer for Next to Normal. And one of my idols, and he's actually a personal friend of mine from back in the day when we both did theater. I grew up in Washington State, and before he was Brian Yorkie, this Pulitzer Prize winning
so this is like full circle. No?
Broadway composer and creator of this hit show on Netflix. He was the associate artistic director of a theater called Village Theater in the Seattle area. And so I knew him as a director. He cast me in like Evita and what else? The Who's Tommy and some other musicals. Like he was there developing new musicals. And then we lost touch for about like 20 years. And then I applied for this mentorship program and I got matched with Brian. And so at the beginning of our mentorship, he was like, okay, Jen, send me all your shit. Sorry.
Yeah,
I can swear.
You can swear.
Send me all your stuff. So at that time,
you said shit.
I did say shit.
Go.
So I sent him like 4 of my scripts at the beginning of our mentorship. And he zoned in on Proud Marys. He was like, what's going on with this? I'm like, oh my gosh, what? He's like, this is your heart's project, isn't it? He recognized it and on the page, like what I was trying to say. Where was I going with this?
Big critique.
Oh, critique. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for tracking that. And it was around that time when that thing happened, that comment happened where I wanted to throw that away.
You did throw it away.
And I did throw it away. And he was like, Jen, fuck him.
Amen.
He's like, this is your story. Like, don't let anyone dictate what you can and can't express on the page.
And it's your page.
And it's my page. And he's like, and then he shared with me something very.
That's profound.
Yeah, he shared with me, as a writer himself, he's like, I've taken inspiration from people in my life and I've put them on characters and they've seen those characters on TV and they'll recognize this speech and it's like like I just take inspiration from everything. And you mask.
Yeah.
You put a mask on it. And he did tell me it was something similar. He was like, this person did kind of object, but then at the end came around and said, this is really profound.
But Proud Marys, that's more of like a mask off moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm thinking, like you just mentioned, sometimes you pick and choose from different parts and then put it on a script, and it's wearing a mask because it's not an actual representation of you, but there are bits and pieces of. But it seems that Proud Marys is more of like, you know what? This is a mask off. I'm gonna put myself in all of this, and
yeah, there's a lot of that. Sure. I mean, I had another mentor tell me, write as if no one's going to read these pages.
exactly right for the garbage can.
Yeah. So.
But don't put it in the trash bin.
But having him say that to me,
inspiring.
Yeah,
I'm very inspired.
It was very profound. Like, okay, yeah, I will tell my truth, because that's when you get the most impact and relatability.
So when you came to terms with, I will tell my truth, did it give you courage?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was very freeing, because up until that point I felt like I was trying to make art with like my hands tied behind my back.
It's not art.
It's not art.
Well, it could be if you put the paint on, if you use your face.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that was just very freeing. So.
Okay. Is that a one-off, or is that your mindset now?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's my mindset now, because, now that I'm writing and creating from my point of view, it's whatever I want it to be.
Right.
As an artist, as an actor, back in the day, and there was an environment that was created that you're supposed to just be grateful to be in the room.
Yeah. I know, right?
Right? And now it's like, no, wait, I have a voice. I have a point of view that matters. I mean, it's why we were on strike, right?
Yes.
It fostered that kind of environment where you're just supposed to be happy with what you're getting. And now look where we are. We have like AI like threatening our livelihood. But thank goodness,
We can talk about that, the strike that happened.
Yes, we can talk about it.
Finally.
I mean, they've come to a tentative agreement. The writer's strike. We were on strike since May 2nd, I believe, with the WGA. I'm not a part of the WGA yet. I'm part of the Dramatists Guild, which is the Guild for Playwrights and Lyricists. And I had just joined this year, and then back in May actually, and then I went out, with my WGA brothers and sisters and picketed, and then SAG-AFTRA, we've been on strike since June or July. Gosh.
And that's sad, no? Yeah. Like when the strike was about AI taking over background actors and actresses and not giving them any royalties for using their likeness.
That's right.
Is that what it is in a nutshell?
Yeah, in a nutshell, it's basically, background actors, they can just screen your likeness and then just use it in perpetuity. Like say goodbye to your career. What you're not going to have any agency over your likeness. That's so wrong. So thankfully, there have been some terms now that have been agreed upon. So yay.
How about for writers, like doing those chat GPTs or software, AI software? You mentioned it a while ago off cam, like even the log line, right? Let's talk about the log. Oh my God, putting a log line into an AI device and say, write me a script.
You could basically take a pilot script that a writer has written, that I've written, and then it goes to the software, and then they can churn out entire episodes. So it's not going to have a soul. It's not going to be human. So I think AI, it should be able to not replace humans, but maybe enhance. That's it. So I'm just so glad that we've come to a tentative agreement. Right.
Now, before all of this, you said you grew up in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
What made you want to go into the arts?
What made me want to go into the arts? Well, I growing up, I think my parents inadvertently instilled the arts in us. So I was born in the Philippines. I came here when I was 5, youngest of 4, and my parents.
How many siblings?
I'm the youngest of 4. So
Okay.
yeah, so 2 sisters and an older brother.
Okay.
And my parents, who wanted us to keep up with our culture, they enrolled us in Filipino folk dancing. So I grew up, folk dancing.
So you know tinikling,
Tinikling, itik-itik.
you know those?
Yeah.
Even the coconut.
Yeah, all that, yeah. So I did that growing up. So I think that set me up as far as like enjoying.
You enjoyed it.
I did. I enjoyed it.
I hated that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I really enjoyed performing, but I was really shy growing up. I mean, and then I played violin in middle school, and then I was in choir, but I was really shy.
All in Washington State.
All in Washington State. And it wasn't until high school graduation I finally got the courage to audition for my high school graduation. It was for the commencement and the Tacoma Dome. Shout out Tacoma Dome.
Shout out.
And not only did I get picked to sing for my graduation, but they picked the song that I had auditioned with.
When did you know you could sing?
I mean, I sang in high school as a hobby, choir.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then it was during my first year of college that I auditioned I went to an open call casting for this Broadway show called Miss Saigon.
As an introvert.
As an introvert.
Why'd you do it?
For the experience.
Really?
For fun. So yeah.
Were you dating at this time?
Was I what?
Dating.
Dating. Yes, I was dating.
What'd you tell your boyfriend?
Well, my boyfriend at the time, we drove together because he was also an actor.
So it was more so okay, I'm getting it. Yeah.
So
you were dragged along.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, it was the summer before my sophomore year. I'm dating myself. So it was the summer of 1992. Do the math. And it was like an open casting call in Vancouver, actually. And they were doing like a whole casting thing for future productions of Miss Saigon. And at this time, the New York show had already been running for a year. Leia had gotten her Tony, and I was familiar enough with the music. I'd been listening to it on my cassette tape.
When it came out, right?
Yeah.
Everybody had a cassette tape.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was like the big thing, right? So I remember my cousin called me from Vancouver. She was living in Vancouver at the time, and she saw this local ad that said, hey, they're looking for singers who move well to audition for Miss Saigon. I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I know the show. I love the show. I have the cassette tape.
Dance, you can sing.
So I drove up to Vancouver, and it was like the last day of like a 3-day open call. And
were you attaching yourself to outcome? Meaning, did you expect anything? You just showed up.
I just showed up, and this is so funny because in the thing it said, be ready to move, right? So now you know that when you first audition, you're supposed to look nice.
Yeah.
You dress up, and then if they like how you sing, then they'll invite you for the callback for the dance.
For the dance part.
My ass showed up already like in sweatpants, like ready to dance. Like what? So I drove up. I was wearing like these leggings and a Union Bay sweatshirt, like off to the side.
Shoulders showing.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was like so flash dance. So I was like, okay, well, I know some songs from the show. So I went in there, and I remember like waiting in the waiting room, and like people were just like going in there so fast. Like they were in and out. Like, oh my gosh, like there's like 8 bars and they're out.
Wow.
So I go in there, and they're like, what are you gonna sing for us? I'm like,
who was there?
It was
Cameron McIntosh was there, no?
He was Mitchell Lemsky, who was the associate director to Nicholas Heitner,
Okay.
Jody Moshe, I think Vinnie Liff, the late Vinnie Liff. Yeah, it was like the production team.
So it was serious.
Yeah.
It was a serious audition.
It was a serious audition, and I went in there, And I was like, well, do you know any songs from the show? I said, yes, I do. So they were like, okay, well, what would you like to sing? And I said, I can sing I Give My Life For You. They let me sing the entire song. And then I just stood there at the end of the song like, okay, well, do you know Sun and Moon? They had me sing Sun and Moon. And then they were like, okay, well, just hang back. We're going to talk about you. And I was like, oh, okay. So I like literally was like, I'll just.
Sophomore in college.
I was going into my sophomore year of college.
Man.
So, and then they're like, okay. And I didn't even have like a proper headshot and resume. I had a glamour shot. Remember like in the mall, you would take your glamour shot? I had like a glamour shot with like sequins, like a big like perm Janet Jackson with like one earring on one side.
How was your hair, like that?
It was like totally like the mall hair. That's the headshot that I brought in. And then I had like stapled a piece of paper on the back and hadn't written that I was like in college and stuff. Such a nerd. But they were like, okay, we see here that you are currently going to be a sophomore in college this fall. And we just wanted to know, Jennifer, how would you feel if we were to offer you a job on Broadway? And I'll never forget what I said to them. I was like, I'm going to have to ask my mom first. And they're like, okay, great. Well, you'll hear from us. I'm like, okay. So then I like left, and my boyfriend at the time was like, what happened? I'm like, they told me that I have a job on Broadway. I don't know. So he was like, what? So I drive back home, and I'm like, Mom, she's like, what happened? I'm like, I think I got a job. But she's like, what are you talking about? You have to go to school this fall. And I'm like, they said I got a job. And literally like 2 days later, I get a FedEx package. And it was a contract.
Oh, man.
To be a Kim cover and ensemble member in the Broadway company. And
the
Broadway company.
Not even the London company.
No, this is the summer of 1992. And I remember my parents thought it was a scam. So they called the number on the letter. They're like, this is Tony Paz. We have this letter. And it was Susan Bell. Shout out Susan Bell.
Shout out, Miss Bell.
He said, no, Mr. Paz, this is not a scam. We're offering your daughter a job on Broadway in Miss Saigon. So that's how I got my start. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
I just went on a tangent. But here's the kicker. So
I'm actually about to go in tears, but go.
Okay. So this was like July of 92, and then I was supposed to leave for the Broadway company in August. So just, a couple weeks later. But they called me right before I was supposed to leave, and they said, hey, listen, we have a spot open in the first national tour that's going to start in Chicago. So we want to give you a choice. Do you want to go to the Broadway company
residency
and be, the ensemble Kim cover, or would you like to join the first national tour, brand new company, as the Kim alternate, and we're going to start rehearsals in Chicago? We'll give you a day to think about it.
A day?
Yeah. So I thought about it. I'm like, okay. So I accepted the first national Broadway tour. And so
Why?
Because I wanted to be part of a brand new company rather than being poured into an already established company.
It's like playing The Price is Right, no?
Right.
Showcase number one.
Right. Yeah. It was like that. So I was
Showcase
like,
number two. Shoot.
I want to be part of like a brand new mounting of the production. So I chose.
Did you consult anybody with regard to?
No. Like who? Like
a
psychic? Like,
no,
hey.
1-800.
1-800. What do you think I should do? Miss Cleo.
None of those.
No.
And you know what? Okay. I'm trying to set it up because this is a major life decision.
Yeah.
You're not even in your sophomore year of college. And you didn't sit down with friends or boyfriend or mommy and daddy or sibs. It's like, let me think about this. And you were actually writing, look at that, no pun intended. You were actually writing the rest of your life.
Yeah, that changed my life. That changed the trajectory of my life.
What were you taking up in college?
I was an English major and maybe a theater minor. I don't even know. I can't remember if I declared a major yet. I was just taking classes. I was going to UW, University of Washington. Yeah.
Okay, so you did the Chicago thing.
So, yeah.
Were they disappointed that you were not going to Broadway?
Who?
The company, the Broadway company.
No. They didn't care. They were just like, we need to fill this spot.
So you did that.
So I did that. I did that tour for 3.5 years, and I ended up. So for the
When you say tour, where'd you go?
we went from Chicago, Boston, Denver,
Wow.
Florida, St. Paul, Detroit.
What happened to your love life?
We opened all the major U.S. cities. What love life?
Exactly.
Yeah,
'Cause
no, I ended up breaking up.
Right? No, I mean, we have to talk about this because there are sacrifices.
Yeah, no, I mean, long distance didn't work.
Right?
So, yeah, we're still friends to this
Yeah.
day, that
So-
ex-boyfriend. So,
So let's talk about that part because there are people who think that the person you're with is the person you'll end up with. And then a life decision comes that's for you. And now you have to make a hard choice. It's like Broadway, Chicago. Now this is like boyfriend, no boyfriend. How decisive were you with everything happening in your life at that time? Because if they were only giving you 24 hours to decide, it meant that you had to really make a decision that would affect the rest of your life.
oh gosh, yeah, I mean, just even delaying college was a big decision. And my mom, I mean, God bless her. I love you, Mom. Thank you for supporting my crazy decision. I mean, she was really hesitant to let me go. Like, it's like it's so unstable, right?
Yes.
She's like, "What are you doing?" So she actually took off a month off from
To be
work
with you?
to be with me. So she came.
Her youngest daughter.
Yeah, her youngest, her bunso.
So,
So she came with me. I had my ninang was in Skokie, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. So I stayed with my ninang for a little bit, and then then they moved me into an apartment in Chicago
Right.
because I was there for about a year. We were on that tour for a year. So, I made decisions, but boy, my parents were right there with me, like making sure that I wasn't a knucklehead, which I was, I mean, thank goodness for their guidance because my dad, who's an accountant, he really helped me manage my
Your
finances.
finances.
Yeah, thank goodness because I would have just blown.
you know what? It's nice, no? It's nice to have supportive parents.
Yes.
How long did you do it? 3 years?
So I did that tour for 3 years.
And then after?
And we opened here at the Amundsen.
Yes.
And then I went back on tour again with another tour of Miss Saigon. A couple years, or like 7 years later, I did another tour of it for another 2-3 years.
So,
And then after that, I did like maybe 5 or 6 more regional productions. So all in total,
yes.
I did the show, Miss Saigon, from 1992 to 2013. My Kim is legal, y'all. She's 21. She can drink. So I... yeah, a lot of my friends used to tease me that I was the Carol Channing of Miss Saigon. Carol Channing, who did Hello Dolly for so many years, or like the Carl Anderson of Miss Saigon.
My God.
It paid the bills, But yeah, I'm very, very grateful for that show, having been a huge part of my artistic life.
Were there nights that you didn't want to do the show?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. 8 shows a week. You have to live like a monk to be able to
No life.
No life. No life. I mean,
Bikini dress.
Yeah.
Dress.
I mean, so that's why they.
Oh yeah, then you couldn't have you had to,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
you had to look sexy for.
You had to look a certain way. Yes. Yes.
So what was the lifestyle like? I mean, what were the sacrifices that you needed to do? Because,
you have to understand though, this was my very first professional gig, so I thought this was how show business was. I didn't have anything else to compare it to. So
what was the discipline?
It was just do the show and go back to your apartment.
Right. Rest your voice.
And that's why too they typically had they split the schedule 6 to 2. It's like 8 shows a week, right? But you have the 6 show a week Kim, and then you have the matinee Kim.
Okay.
So I was the matinee Kim for like the first 6 months, and it was Jenny Kwan. Shout out Jenny Kwan.
Shout out.
Who left the show because she got offered California Dreams. Do you remember that show, California Dreams?
Yes.
Saturday morning. So she left to do California Dreams, and then they bumped me up to the main Kim. And it was literally like on the job training for me. Like I didn't know stage right, stage left, downstage, upstage. Like those basic things is what I learned doing Miss Saigon. And like, you know, just having a strong work ethic, knowing how to take care of your voice, knowing how to do a press thing, you know, knowing what to say and what not to say, things like that.
Is mental block real?
In what way?
Like when you're on stage, oh my God, what am I supposed to say?
Thank goodness those things never really happened to me.
Did you ever ad-lib?
But gosh darn it, you live for those moments when your scene partner dies. You're like, oh, what are you gonna say? What are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? What's gonna happen? Oh my gosh, oh, you don't remember your line. I love that. No, I remember doing a regional production of Miss Saigon. This is like not the tour. This is like a regional production when the TAM wasn't there for the big scene with, you know, the engineer. I'm supposed to come on stage with him, and it was during the engineer's scene, If You Want to Die in Bed. Do you know the show?
Yeah.
Okay, so If You Want to Die in Bed number, and then I come in, I'm like, engineer, Tui's dead. He was, you know, and I'm like, I'm supposed to have the kid with me. And the kid, I'm like, where's the kid? Where is he? Where is he? Like, I'm supposed to be on stage with him in like, how many seconds? And apparently he was in the bathroom. And so the bell tone happened, and the engineer was like, just waiting for me. And this particular actor who was the engineer had played Scar in The Lion King.
Oh, okay.
And I swear to God, he like reverted back to his Scar because the bell tone happened. I didn't come in with engineer, Tui's dead. He was, you know, and he just like, he looked around. He's like, what's happening? I hate Dreamland. Like, I'm like, what show are we in? My face was like from like horror in the wings to, oh my gosh, what are you gonna do? This is so fun. Like, I'm such an asshole. And then finally the Wrangler like brings the TAM in, and like he was in the bathroom. He had no shoes on. Like I could tell like she like barely put up his like pants. He was taking a dump, I guess. So, but I live for those moments. I live for those moments where you're like, what are you gonna do? What's gonna happen?
Ooh, wow.
Anyway,
those are nice moments.
Those are nice moments.
What made you leave the show?
I didn't want to die in a pool of pee anymore. No, just kidding. I have died in a pool of pee. I have with the TAMs. Just like, what? Well, I mean, after 21 years, what would make you want to leave?
I mean, because you could have pivoted to something else and stay in the company, right? Maybe
no.
No.
What are you talking about?
Like behind the scene or stuff like that.
Yeah, no. I listen. I'm so grateful that I was able to have a long run.
I think you're the longest.
I am the longest.
That's why I'm like, why leave? You're already there. Might as well.
Because no one else would hire me. No.
I thought you were gonna say why did you leave? The pandemic. Wow.
I played it until the pandemic.
1992 to 2022.
Yeah, no, why did I leave? Because it was time to leave. It was time to leave back.
Okay, okay. When do you know
When do you know?
that it's time to leave? Well, in your case, you finally knew.
When you can't play 17. I mean, duh.
Hey, but you still... No bullshit, huh?
No bullshit.
No bullshit.
No,
You can still play 17.
No, you're very sweet. You're very sweet. These lights are really bright. No,
Put it in the comments below.
I mean, honestly, like every time that phone rang, they're like, "Okay, here's another production that wants you to play Kim." I'm like, "Dude, you know I'm like 100 years old." and like every time I went to the production, like my Chris's kept getting younger and younger. I felt like fucking like Demi Moore in Ashton Kutcher. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, pedophile kid, okay. I was like, okay, no more. So the very last production I did was very special because it was in 2013 and it was already after I had my son Julian, and he was.
Okay. Shout out, Julian.
Like, shout out, Julian.
Straight ace.
Okay. We'll talk about that later, but yeah, he was like, he was 7-8 months old, and I swear to God, like I was
Breastfeeding?
I was pumping my breast like half hour. I was like, okay. I got you. I'm there. Intermission's like, okay, I'm pumping. I had to pump to get into that costume. But it was very special because Anthony also was in that production. Now I've got the giggles. And he did a walk-on with Sleeping Julian.
But that's not where you met Anthony, though, no?
That's not right.
Okay. Shout out, Anthony.
Shout out, Anthony. Shout out. We must focus. Okay. I think this coffee is getting
Good coffee, you know?
good coffee.
Thank you, Jaja.
Thank you.
Okay, go.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about you pumping
my breath.
2013.
Oh my gosh. I'm actually going to go see a play this Friday called Not a True Story about it's about Kim if she hadn't killed herself.
Really?
Really?
So more of like an offshoot?
Yeah, wait. No, I want to get this right because I want to do a shout out.
Go.
It's the play is called excuse me. Now I'm like, it's called Not a True Story.
Here's your camera. There you go.
Right there. Okay. There it is. It's called Not. Here it is. Can I show it? Can I show it right there? Not a True Story.
Yeah.
And they invited me to come and have a little panel discussion after the play, and I'm just gonna read it. It's so this is not a true story. Wait, where's the description is on here? It's gonna be at Artists at Play, and it takes the story of these three tragic heroines, Cho-Cho-Sun, and Kim and Miss Saigon. And takes you on this journey if they hadn't killed themselves.
Wow.
Yeah. And it gives that female character agency and gives that strong point of view of, wait, why does she have to kill herself? Why does she have to kill herself? Right? So I'm very excited about that. And we're going to have a little panel discussion about the complicated legacy of films in Miss Saigon. Because it is a very complicated legacy. I'm just going to be real with you all.
They're reeling you in.
What do you mean? It's a trap.
It's a trap because if Kim did not kill herself, you'd be... This is like the alternate universe where you play Kim right now. Again.
Oh my gosh. No!
Like, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I Kim?
No, but in all seriousness, I really, the premise of this play, going back to why I started writing, right, is now it's a time for us to tell our stories.
Amen.
That's it. You know, And I know it's probably going to be a very spirited discussion about the points of view of who gets to tell a story.
Yeah.
Right? Miss Saigon, if you really pare it down, it's like it was written by two Frenchmen about the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So that's now we're seeing that that's kind of problematic, right? And why does and it's loosely based on Madame Butterfly also.
Yes.
Again, she kills herself, you know. And actually when I did see the show again in the recent New York City revival, after having done it for 21 years.
Are you the longest?
I am the longest. I have been told that. I have been told that.
Claim it.
I own that
Yes.
shit. Okay. But I sat there in the audience with fresh eyes and I was like, you know what? Why does she have to fucking kill herself? You know, like I've always thought like, why can't she like
Ride into the sunset? Yeah.
Go off with like Ellen and like take Tam and run an Airbnb in the United States.
Right.
You know, there's so many more choices and options for women. And this whole like white savior trope, all of that, like there's so many more options. And if it comes from the point of view of women of color, of people of color,
yes,
if we tell our own stories, it has a much more profound impact, and it's just more truthful.
Like, to segue, for Proud Marys, did you ever think about killing characters or?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I do. I do not kill them, but there are choices that one of the daughters has to make.
Ooh.
with her.
We're not going far, huh? Well, let's not reveal that.
Yeah. So, but these are, and now we're in a post Roe v. Wade era.
Yes.
We're not talking about politics, though.
No, we'll go wherever you want to go.
But honestly, like we're in an era now where women don't have agency over their bodies, and I started writing this when we were still inside Roe v. Wade, and we would have celebrated 50 years of that, and now we're post Roe v. Wade. So I tackle some issues, you know, there that also is under the influence of the Catholic Church, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I go there.
You go.
But I go there with comedy.
But then again, it's that's the nice part. You're just softening the blows with.
Yeah.
But those are real blows.
It's real. It's real. And like I said, like I love how comedy does disarm us all.
The power of you mentioned a while ago, like we were talking about your son, right? He sees his mom and he sees what you're doing. How is it? How are you and Anthony influencing your son?
Wow. Well, I really try to just live truthfully and honestly and authentically with him. Like we don't bullshit him. We've always talked to him like a human, not like a little, you know, we don't talk down to him. We're very real with him. And we do give him agency. We give him choice. Like I try to be the kind of parent that I wished I had. No shade on you, mom and dad. I love me and my mom and dad. I do. But there are things that come up now as a mother that I'm like, okay, I remember my mom handling it this way. And that traumatized me. So I'm going to do it this way. And I talk to him. And when I do have a hard time, I'm really honest with him. And I tell him like, I'm not perfect. I will make mistakes.
And you're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
No facade, right? Because our parents, they had to put up a front.
They did, and I get that, and I get that they did that to protect us. But I'm choosing a different way. Like, yes, I've taken the wisdom from my parents, but then there's other things that, from my own trauma, I guess, I'm trying to correct. You know, and that sort of generational trauma.
Yeah. But you're not detached from your parents' generation, man.
No. I mean, they know that I have always been hard-headed, you know, my mom.
Kasi bunso.
I am the bunso. And I've always had very strong opinions. But it turns out it's because, and I talk about this in my show. I see you laughing. Why are you laughing?
Because
Why are you laughing?
it's just cute. I'll use the word cute in a different way,
Okay.
context. Alam mo yung feeling na parang Joseph lang eh. Parang Joseph ni Jacob. Second to the youngest. Diba? Left for whatever. And then, biglang nag-shine in his own light. Si Joseph ng Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dream.
It's so funny because that's how Anthony and I met.
Oh my God. I had no clue.
Look at the connection. But yeah.
Diba?
Yes.
Parang,
Yes.
and then here you are in your own little hard-headed way. Very tenacious. Talagang I'll do what I'll do. I'll go. Pero no attachment to outcome. It's just so inspiring. Kaya ako natatawa. To be honest, that's why I'm saying it's cute, because the journey isn't easy. But when you're telling us the story, you make it sound easy. You make it sound enticing.
I do?
Yeah. When you watch this, it really is.
Oh,
Jay, di ba?
gosh. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, kaya ako yung hindi ako natatawa. I'm
You're
actually
like, oh, you're so cute.
actually natutuwa. You know, something like parang other people would be trying hard to do what you just shared you did, and you just went zzz. By the way, I did follow what my mom and dad said. I did follow their advice. Kita mo? Both of you are laughing. That's how I see it. And
I mean, yeah, that's basically how it happened. Sorry, mom and dad, but
so I could laugh, right?
I guess you can laugh. I guess.
So now, okay, why California? What brought you to California?
Because of Miss Saigon, basically.
Because it ended up here.
It ended up here at the Amundsen, and then I just made home here. Since
Did
the
you even
90s.
tell your mom and dad, I'm not coming home?
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because here's another thing. Here's another fun fact about me. Oh, my mom. So, there was a time when I was like, okay, I finished a show, and then I did some TV and film work here. And then eventually I went back to theater, and then I moved back up to Seattle to do some regional theater there. And then I met my now ex-husband.
Uh-huh.
So yes, I'm divorced. So I met someone up there. I got married, and then I remember and I got married for the wrong reasons. I mean, we ended up divorcing
We do that.
amicably. Yes, yeah. But I tried to do what I was supposed to do.
Right.
After so many years of
Right.
rebelling, I came home. I was doing my thing. And look, Mom, I'm doing my thing at home, and I met this nice guy, and he's great on paper. And look, he proposed. So I was like, all right, I'll say yes. And we got married, and I realized oh gosh, I got married for the wrong reason.
Because it wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me. And then I remember
When did you realize this? How long into the marriage? Oh my God, reception?
like 2 drinks in, I'm like oh shit. No, I'm just
reception?
kidding.
Oh my God.
No, yeah, it was pretty. I mean, it was we were married and divorced within 2 years.
Oh, okay. I thought it was faster than Britney Spears. Not like that.
But I realized it was because I was trying to do this for my parents.
Yeah.
After rebelling for so long, and I tried to get pregnant, and that didn't work, and but I remember sitting at home with my mom when I was already married. I came home one weekend, and we were watching the Golden Globes, and she was like, "Wow, you should be up there." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm home here!" What?
Are you the only celebrity kid in the family?
I'm the only artista.
Okay,
Yes.
Oh my.
But it's just one of those mixed messages.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I did
Yes.
the thing, Mom, and now you're telling me I felt like a failure. You know what I mean? I've given you what you wanted, what I thought you wanted, and you're telling me why. Basically, you're telling me why aren't you in LA? up there writing or doing the thing that I know you really want to do. So anyway, that marriage ended amicably, and then I started dating my now husband. And this is,
Wait, so you went back after the divorce? You went back to LA?
Yes. Well, I met Anthony, funnily enough, in Seattle doing Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Yes.
I didn't know that, huh?
You didn't know that, and you had connected that.
Yeah.
So,
So you met there. Oh, nice.
We met there, and excuse me, we ended up doing like 3 or 4 productions of Joseph after
How'd you know he was the one?
How did I know?
Anthony, this part of the podcast is for you.
Oh my gosh. We had a complicated start, let's just say that. I was at the end of my marriage. So it was like, hold up, wait, no, let me figure myself out.
Go.
But there was like this inexplicable pull between us that just was.
So you kind of,
you just know.
Yeah.
It was an awareness. Like it was a kind of awareness. Like he'd be in the room, I'd be talking to this person, but I would know where he was, and I would track him. And I'm like having this conversation with somebody else. I'm like, why am I thinking about that guy? And then like I'd be like doing something else. I'm like, why is he in my head? So, yeah, and it just flowed. Like we were friends.
No effort.
No effort.
And even arguments are nice.
Even arguments are nice, and it's like, okay, where are you coming from?
Yeah.
This is where I'm coming from. But
So how long have you guys been together?
we've been together now for 13 years. Wow. We got married 2019.
How many kids?
Just one. Just the one.
No effort.
Yeah. And this is the thing with
Even
me too.
Julian, no effort.
No effort.
See?
Just easy. It's so easy. He's such a good kid. It's like, I always say like, he's like a roommate. He's so self-sufficient. This 10-year-old, like, but yeah, I can't complain. Like I'm so blessed with the family that I have now.
Galing, no? For you to be able to say that now. No?
Yeah. So
the journey. It's all about the journey.
It is.
So looking back in retrospect, would you say that every event in your life
was a mistake? No, I'm just kidding.
Is it?
I'm just kidding.
But maybe what you thought was a mistake weren't really mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
That they were meant to happen.
I believe that. I don't have any regrets.
Amen. Regrets.
No regrets. No regrets.
No regrets.
No regrets. Because it led me to this moment. Yeah.
No victim mentality. No.
That's my biggest pet peeve. I hate victim mentality. I hate it.
I hate it
There's
too.
always a solution. There's always a choice. You always have a choice.
You're not a post. You can move.
Yeah. And I always say like you are 100% responsible for the condition that you're in. Right?
Galing.
Yeah. So of course, it took me a lot of therapy to get there.
Serious.
Seriously. I mean, come on.
You mentioned, let me bring it back, because
like how are you going to circle this back?
No. I just wanna talk about mentorship.
Mentorship, yes.
Because it speeds up the process. And other people think that getting a mentor is a sign of weakness.
No, who said that?
There are people who think, no. I should do it the hard way.
Mentors are like...
Please, explain.
It's so important, and I think it's so important and responsible to get a mentor. I don't know. Wouldn't you want someone to share their experience with you so you can take that and go, oh, okay, wise one, this is how you did it. And you can take what's useful for you and you can leave out what's not.
Like this story that you're actually sharing with the community. This in itself is a fast food mentorship into what you've gone through.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I do regret. Okay, we talk about not having regrets. I regret not seeking a mentor sooner in my career, because I would have really loved the help. I would have really loved that mentorship, but sometimes it's hard to trust. That's what it is. It's hard to trust someone that really has the genuine concern and for you that you know that they want you to win or they want you to succeed. But I've been lucky now later on in my years that I have been able to find the right mentors who have also chosen me. Like they've obviously recognized like a baby version of them in me. Like, oh, she's doing it this way. Let me take you under my wing. Because I'm sure I made, I've asked dumb questions. I made stupid mistakes. And so why not seek out somebody that can share their wisdom? I think that's so important. It's just great for community building. It's great for just any kind of building.
Right.
You know, you want to root for this person. You want to root for someone who's trying to do the thing. And I think that only comes when that person also has succeeded in their way. Like Brian Yorkie has won the awards, and it's his way of giving back. And I think that's beautiful. And I would love to do that for someone too.
I was going to ask you,
Yeah. I mean, I do get, one of the things I love is meeting other young artists. I got to do like a bunch of Comic-Cons because I used to voice a character on a cartoon called Steven Universe. And one of the perks of this job was to meet young artists. And I love that this show had such a cult following.
Wow.
A beautiful cult following. And so I to this day get a lot of DMs of just like young artists who ask me for advice, and I'm happy to share, like, this is how I did it, like, and whatever, like, how do I get into voiceover work? How do I do this? How do I do that? And I'm happy to share those resources.
So that being said, 17, 18-year-old Jennifer, who's about to drive to Vancouver, had you met her at one of the gas stops, and if she just talked to you and said, I don't want to do this, I think I'm not going to go to Vancouver, what would you have told her, knowing who she was and knowing who you are?
First of all, I would tell that 17, 18-year-old Jennifer to protect your heart. And that I would tell her that you are enough. I would. Yeah.
Is your heart protected?
It is now. It is now. It's protected, and it's open in a way that it wasn't before. I know my boundaries. I know my value in a way that I didn't recognize before, and I was just so willing to just like give stuff away, my time, my energy, to things and energies that didn't deserve it.
Ooh, yeah.
There's no point in doing that. If something's not right, it's okay to walk away, and that's fine. You wish that situation well, and that's fine, because it just doesn't vibe. And I spent so much of my youth like trying to be liked and trying to be accepted, and because whatever. And it's like, wait, now I'm at a point where I don't want to chase that thing. I want to attract the thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
So I think that comes with just doing your thing, and then you're going to attract the things that will vibe with that. And that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jennifer Paz. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and put your comments below. And if you want to get in touch with her, you'll have to find out how. No, we'll put it in the description. Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching.